very good. Cheers. How about you?
Yeah, pretty well, thank you. Pretty well, mate. I'm gonna say I actually like the look, man. I'm gonna like try and ask sensible questions because I'm just scared you might teleport and just jump off the swim section. Mate, before we take a dive deep into the murder trend itself, can you take us back to the lead up to this record? What was happening within Agarwaen creatively, and how did the ideas that eventually became this album begin to take shape?
Yeah, it's actually we have to go a little bit further than just this one album, the previous album, Channel Lunacy. So there was this one turning point when we invented the whole story of Plastain cults and all of these kind of. We wanted to do have kind of like a meta universe, like Batman has, kind of like all the little villains, crazy people, and kind of expand from there. And then we came to the actual album for the Murder Trend. I was asked to a one competition to make a crazy circus song, metal song, and of course they thought like this guy knows how to do one, and I made a song which eventually became Circo de la Muerte and Clowny Business. There used to be one song, but I thought like after the competition, like they have to be two separate songs.
Mm.
And that's kind of where it started, the whole concept of the circus kind of thing. But obviously I didn't want to make just a yet another circus album. It's much more deeper than just a, that's kind of like the side quest of the big story out there. But that kind of like dictated the direction where we want to go with the album, and kind of like I started writing the story around it. And why we need to go back for the previous album, because there are plenty of the characters taken from the previous album to the new
Oh,
album. So when we are talking about uh, Anton's father, uh, he was in the album. The uncle is from the previous album. Uh, so you read the mass hypnosis, graveyard shift, lobotomy, Plastain song, all those are related to the new album. So I kind of like wanted to have a kind of like this the previous album as backing story for the one that I have for the Murder Trend. And yeah, it started to grow little by little, and we kind of have some old riffs from around that we started gathering everything. But
mm.
yeah, in big picture, it was kind of bad beginning. Was one of the first songs that we had for the album. It was created by the guitarist, and so we knew this is going to be the opening track. And then I created the intro for the Murder Trend, and I knew that is going to be the closing track because this ties everything together. Now we just need to invent everything in the middle. So we kind
Yeah,
of like
yeah,
started working from there.
yeah. Now that's interesting how there's a backstory because I'm thinking, wow, that's kind of like a universe. So it's kind of like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
the extension
And it will
of
continue from now on. Always, we will have like some examples from different parts of
yeah.
the eras. There's might be some references and yeah, Easter
Yeah,
eggs here and there.
that's very interesting. I have to go and listen to your last record because for me it would be like an origin story because
Yeah, yeah,
I got dived deep into the murder trend.
absolutely.
You know, the murder trend, like it tells the story of a child named Anton, and throughout the
Mhm.
album we witness his transformation from victim to aggressor, and he adopts the crown mask and transcends into darkness. What
Yeah,
you probably explained it because of the continuation of the story, but my original question was, what was the original spark that inspired Anton's story? And what point did you realize it needed to become a full narrative rather than a collection of songs? And you kind of pretty much explained that with the last record and
yeah.
with the circus songs that you entered with the two songs and it being in the album. But was there anything else to expand on that? What you've just said? Was there any? Is there anything you can expand
Yeah,
on?
yeah, that is tricky question because it's
Mm,
kind of like I mean, it's kind of like just came to me like when I was starting writing. Of course, it wasn't. polished when it came to me. It just kind of like a little by little, I was thinking like, okay, what is the story around here? And like I said, I didn't want to make a circus album, so it has to be the circus somehow like related to the story, but not the driving concept. And then all the carnival things came to me my mind, and kind of like wrote that song first with the lyrics and everything. So how did we end up here, and how do we go from there? And that's kind of like it just more or less came to me, and then I kind of like, how would this person to be like, wait a second, actually from the previous album there was this guy, happened this thing, and oh, maybe I can connect these two dots, and I kind of like have an again growing it. But of course there's one funny fact about the album, because we are in there, we are talking thematics, locations and everything, and then we have the Spain here. So why it's Anton and why it's all Spanish? Well, it's because the guys wrote flamenco part for the La Colección, and then we like, and then I was like, how do I fit this to the story? Like, why do we have a flamenco? Oh, well, like this Spanish elements. Well, now it has to be Spanish guys. So now we had to, the circus has to be happen in Spain, and so yeah, it's funny little things that are kind of like affecting the story, and
because I was kind of like thinking, okay, this story must be in Spain, because the language as well, it's this
Circo de la Muerte, La Colección, and all that.
It's like, and then because because it does, in the lyrics, that's where basically you get, like, for someone that's got to like experience the record personally, I'll go a bit more, I'll expand on it later. But while we're continuing on the topic, for someone to actually understand the concept of the music and how it draws in, the lyrics plays an important part, because it kind of gives you all that Easter eggs and information that you're talking about. When you said Spain, I was like, yes, because you did reference Spain, and some of the tracks are Spanish, and there are so some people that just listen to dive into the album without the lyrics or not knowing what's going on, they only get to hear the musically and the lyric concept. They don't get to see the whole immersiveness.
Oh, it opens so much better the album. Because I am a huge fan of King Diamond, for instance, and he always has these stories going around, and I kind of like, I remember when I was a kid, and just back of my pop's van, just listening from my Walkman, King Diamond, and reading the lyrics from the album. I kind of like going into Stephen King kind of stories, and I want to do this kind. I wanted to give the same kind of experiences when they listening my music and reading the lyrics, and So story wise, you can see how it goes. Like it goes up a little bit down, and it goes all the way to the maximum craziness.
But it kind of, probably that's what gave the inspiration of Salem metal, I guess. Just a psychological thing, because you talked about how this is a universe that started from the other albums, and everything's now trying to make sense the more we're diving into the record. As like when we journey through the tracks such as God Complex, which is at the beginning, like one of the third tracks. And then you've got La Calenson, The Hurt, and Clowning Business. We see Anton dealing with grief, bullying, trauma, anger, and ultimately revenge. And despite the darkness, there are moments where we still recognize his humanity.
Exactly.
And Clowning Business was a good way to interpret that. That's where he started to question. He had second thoughts, and that's where the humanity kicked in. And we kind of, and there's sympathy for him. And how important was it for listeners to connect emotionally with Anton rather than simply viewing him as the villain?
Oh, it's very important. It's very important. Good question, because when we see the real life villains around world, we have to think where they come from. Some, of course, they have everything is great, and they just born wrong, so to speak. And but then there are people that actually could have had an absolutely different life if their backgrounds would be checked and everything would be perfect there. So you see that in a story, like how it goes, like from bad to worst and the worst, and kind of like it goes every turn it goes wrong, and you think that he should get some help, but all he gets is getting worse for him. And so yeah, it's eventually, of course, like in a story, he was raised by his mom, and she was a nice, good person, and that's where he questions, like, this is not how my mom raised me, but everything else around this world raised me the otherwise. So that's how he eventually loses his mind. But of course, the mask plays a great role in there as well.
Yeah. Because that's because, as we said, those who haven't listened to the record, I'll probably suggest you pause this video, listen to it, and come back to it, because the story is basically, it's there in the nutshell we discussed. But when we're looking at God Complex, it's basically we kind of like the opening track, Bad Beginning. It kind of like said, okay, this is not a happy story, but then God Complex explains that, and then, but the thing is, throughout Anton's journey, he didn't ask for it. That's what it was. He was in that circumstance.
Exactly.
So you can't say he's a bad person. He got exposed to it. Went through he was an orphan, and then all these lyrics are explained into detail. That's how you understand the story.
Yes.
The orphan son basically was a turning point where he lost his mom, and then it's like, we don't want you no more.
He just needed to release his anger somewhere, frustration and everything.
Yeah.
And that's. But then he had his kind of moments of easiness when he went to his uncle's place. That could have been his kind of like a way out from this. But then he kind of like found the history of the family, the masks and everything, and those kind of like started turning him back against to losing his own mind and going forward to again having this revenge. He never lost the revenge feeling of the revenge, but that was the kind of kickstarting it and kind of like continue where he was left in Orphan.
Yeah, because my personal interpretation of the album, that's like, without knowing there was a backstory to it, is that Anton's has the connection to carnivals, circus, and clowns, and you said it, that's not the main story, it's just part of it. I feel that kind of comes from a childhood that he never truly got to experience, because these symbols are usually associated with joy, innocence, and fear. Yeah, Anton twists them into something terrifying. Like, to me, it almost feels like he's forcing the world to experience his pain while trying to reclaim something he's lost. How does it feel hearing my interpretation? And was that creating that immersive connection to Anton's world something you want listeners to experience?
So I see more like because that's where when we are talking animus, that's where the kind of like the ultimatum, the final, that was where all the last senses of in his mind he lost, and you can hear it, like that's how it snaps when it's starting. That's when he is gone. So that's but how we get what is that what he was trying to get there is not only to get a revenge, not only like you said, of course, experiencing something childish and this way, but also he wants to make his father proud that he did not know that exists anymore, and kind of like to continuing the family legacy, being part of something big in this cult, and he's kind of like there's two flies in the same strike. He gets the revenge the most gruesome way, kind of like doing like his family used to do back in the days when they were in a circus. but at the same time, this is like giving a card, this personal card for the cult, and showing I want to be part of this cult, and like my father used to be, like my grandfather used to be, I want to be part of this.
Yeah, so it's kind of like he wanted to feel a bit of validation, to make his dad
Yes,
proud,
yes, I would
dad's
say
well.
absolutely, absolutely, kind of like finding his place in this world somehow, because yeah, true.
Yeah, it's kind of because it kind of it's kind of it's interesting how people will interpret that, but then you go into details. Oh yeah, But the thing is, what makes it the story unique? It's not because of the lyrics. It's not because of the stories you've created. It's how the music plays a huge role. Like there's different instruments. There's I heard
Yeah,
you have accordion, and
yeah,
it goes with the music grows with the story. If
yeah,
it's a sad
yeah,
moment, there's elements of instruments that represent that. It's not just chuck chuck chuck. It's heavy,
yeah,
but it's basically creating these sounds and to give it a story, to give it that uplift. The music basically breaks it together. Like you guys, if you wanted to do a Netflix show one day, just send them the
yeah.
script, man, because they can see how
Absolutely, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that, all these instrumentations, they do carry those emotions and the atmosphere of the narrative.
yeah,
What
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
what was the overall vision for ensuring the music itself became the storytelling tool throughout the
yeah.
album?
Oh, it was uh, well, I had to think this really long. It's like many bands just push their songs in album without thinking at all. I had this one album that I had to review myself, and uh, the songs were great. For instance, I don't take anything out of that, but kind of like when you're listening, you think that the album from the first song till the end, you think that this is wrong. It doesn't work together. Like some bands made also. I know one band that had an first album that had 10 songs, out of which all of them have been released throughout for the past 10 years, every single song recorded separately as a separate song. And when you put that in an album, it's not an album like a one unified album, it's a compilation album, more or less. So that's when I'm writing the music myself, it's very important for me that we have some songs that we have to put the B track. We will release them later. So that doesn't work. The flow kind of like it has to start.
Mm.
I don't know. Happy is a really bad word to using in our music, but it has to be like a little bit like easiness there. Then it goes bad, and then it starts little bit going up, 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 and we giving like you said instruments. We adding the accordion like when it's starting to get like a little bit more there, and then it's more and more. But the main one actually, I don't know if you noticed in Circo de la Muerte, when they have this funny little thing that mid part,
Yeah.
uh, they have this squeaky noise, really really this like it penetrates to your brain.
Yeah, I think I know which part it is. Yeah.
So when you're listening to that, that's he is wearing the mask and he's seeing things through his grandfather's eyes.
Yeah.
Next time you're hearing that same coming up is when it's finally losing his mind in Animus, when he's chainsawing those guys, and that's all he hears. That's all he hears, and he's absolutely just losing and chainsawing, and that's a kind of one of those little things that we actually it took quite a long time to find the actual noise and all the stack of
Yeah.
effects and everything that we get it right. So yeah,
Yeah.
there are lots of little things. These kind of like when we are working like growing stuff, getting
Yeah.
more lunatic in the end.
Yeah. There's so many things. Like even I think it was in Orphan Time. He had backing calls, but it was like thrash metal. He had like a back,
Yeah,
like a gangster.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Parts like that. Then that circus song.
yeah.
I can't even pronounce it, but it's sort of meant to Demented. It's basically that's the first single that was released. So kind of like for anyone that's outside of Finland or Europe, like when I first heard of it, it was like, okay, this is a circus kind of song, but it kind of worked well.
Then you get a full thrash metal song, like a full on, and then again we get industrial metal, God complex. So yeah, this is something that people be very much thinking like, how is it? It should not work to add so many different, like absolutely different styles in one album. This is not something that we do kind of like on purpose. It's no. This is nothing like that. It's all come natural. So I listen all kind of music. I love like from Creator to Rammstein to Greek pop music to electronic hardcore, folk music, everything. So that's you see in the music, all these small little elements here and there, and just connecting them, just by the feeling. If it feels right, then it sounds right. So
yeah. It's kind of like we talk, but also I've got to put you on the spot, man. But as the story progresses, it's the vocal performance, mainly your vocal performance, because it increasingly intenses. It's your voice is intense and it's unsettling, which fits the band's description of a solo metal, because there's parts where you're trying to go inside the character's mind so people can understand. Okay, and that's when people will listen to it and go, hang on, it sounds like it's disjointed, but if you listen to it properly, you listen to it how it is and how it's constructed, you see there's characters and all coming with the vocals, and each part of your vocals in the whole performance, it's just so. I was going to say complex. It's not complex, but it's kind of got dynamics. That's the word, dynamics. It's got that dynamic. It's just got growls, clean, there. It basically is another tool, and I basically, how important was it for your vocals to create a psychological connection between the listener and Anton's deteriorating mental state?
Oh, very, very, very important. I mean, this album will have not been written without those kind of like. I have to feel myself, and actually, there's a short video in Instagram when I was singing the God complex, and you can see me like twitching my really my whole butt. My legs were hurting when I was singing there because I'm actually like putting everything tension. Like I'm like every single muscle, from the bottom to head. It's just like giving the feeling, like, and it's you see that, like you said, the progression there when you're listening the chorus of Animus, those screams what I give. That's like I cannot go any further from that. That's like that. That's the last like the final songs, and but it's kind of like I have to kind of like it's a storytelling while I'm singing, so it's absolutely storytelling, and I have to act while everything when I'm singing. I have to kind of like use my hands and everything and acting it kind of like as if I would be in theater, kind of like to get the feeling in the studio to the album. And it's great that we had an amazing producer who kind of like understands us, and he was like do a little bit more sad, but not kind of too sad, and a little bit kind of like a feeling like you want to punch that, but you're still kind of like trying to keep it low, and you're kind of shy guy. Okay. Then I go, do that same again. So it is like that. Like we're not talking in studio about make it growl, make it scream, make it like clean. It's more like the feelings. Producers giving it feelings. What should I get for this particular moment, more or less? And so that's how its vocals are built in there.
That's awesome. I just like how that kind of described. Bless this, bless that, but sad. Like, okay. It's be angry, but sad.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Okay,
like,
angry.
okay.
You know, what I was doing is like angry but sad. I'm like, I'm okay. Oh yeah, but you know, you do it. Well, I'll be stuck. Oh yeah, I'll do that. So I would say that.
Animus,
Yeah.
beginning of the animus, that's angry but sad.
Yeah, as you said, you kind of like, you know, yeah, basically what we see with the band, the way, you know, the you know, the way, oh, I'm lost for words, mate. You just, you basically, I'm stuck for words. But what I was going to say is the way the band portrays itself, you know, the music and the way you guys
Yeah.
come out, you know, the presentation of the band, the costumes and all that.
Mm,
Obviously, you like the theatre and the cinematic, which the music matches. So,
mm.
and you said earlier you're gonna do a show in a couple of hours. So, you know, what challenges do you foresee when you bring these songs and this story to the live stage?
Ooh, it's now after a couple of years, we are really happy about the shows that we have for the previous album, the Channel Lunacy, and it works amazingly. Now it's really hard to go with the Murder Trend because we need to top up the previous album, and we already have a good show for there. And we need bigger stages ready to start growing. It's because we don't have enough room for our props and
Yeah.
everything and all that we want to bring. We have amazed lots of ideas that we want to bring for the audience, but yeah, it's in the beginning it was of course kind of like a trying to find things how to work and which works with which doesn't work, but it's becoming easier and easier every single time. And now we have polished the show for the previous albums, both of them.
Yeah.
We have solid show there, but for the new album, it's going to be really hard to kind of like top the things that we've done before.
Mm. Yeah, I'm sure you guys will find a way and get that thing there because the
Oh,
music much, man. And you know, with the often sun film clip, you know, we see the stage presence there.
yeah,
So I'll say that, you know, I'll
that's
say
kind
that.
of like the stage we need bare minimum that we can
Yeah,
bring. Or
yeah,
that was kind of like it was like built for us, just like enough kind of like we can fit everything, or we can
yeah,
basically do 180 kind of experience, like all
yeah,
everything from
yeah.
end to end something. But yeah, on that stage we actually had 15 clowns in the beginning of you see those clowns coming up in the intro and they're just staring to the
Oh,
audience,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then eventually the mid intro when the players start coming in, those clowns goes to the audience, and for the rest of the show they were doing having mayhem in the audience. So that's kind of like when we want to go to bigger stages, festivals, stuff like that. We want to interact with the audience, not only from the stage but in the audience as well,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
make it really immersive. So
yeah, yeah. It's immersive, but it's also fair as well. You know, like
yeah,
you're bringing it closer to them. You know, they get to feel it. They get to, you know,
yeah,
not just be immersed. They get to the feel it. You know, if they feel, you know, maybe some people don't like clouds. They're scared of them. So you know, they probably kind of like keeps them
yeah,
psychologically.
too much.
It kind of
Yeah,
makes their metal go into a bit more deeper, you know.
yeah.
You know, but man, like looking at now that the album's done and we've basically just gone to a deep dive,
Uh-huh.
when you look back on it, what are you most proud of with the Murder Trend as a whole?
Ooh, I must. I was very scared about the vocals, like very scared, because the first album, second album, Channel
Mm.
Lunacy, that was the first album that I was singing. And not only the first album that I was singing, that was my first time ever I sang anywhere when I was in studio, because we had singers, we have plenty of singers, we but
Yeah,
all scared the lyrics and they left, and we had the final option, and we had to kick him out 2 days prior the vocal recordings, and because we couldn't trust that he will deliver
yeah,
like. So we had to make choice. Like studio is paid. I have vacation. Like I will give a shot. If it's shit, then we get a new singer. And that was the first time I sang it. The first song ever was Channel Lunacy, and
Yeah.
but that was obviously I had no idea what I was doing. So when we were coming to the Murder Trend, I already been singing for a couple of years, and my style have been changing and to kind of what we have today.
Yeah.
And people liked the previous album, and I was scared if the people will like the new album because of all that craziness. All everything is different now again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the vocals overall, how they landed, and how the album sounds, and the song "The Murder Trend" itself, like those would be my three proudest things in this album.
No,
Yeah.
cool, man. Because I do think that your vocals has a massive component into the into the Murder Trend. It's very hard
Mm,
for. I'm not a vocalist, but I'm sure most vocalists will listen to it and go, it will be challenging because there's so many dynamic ranges. It wasn't just
mm,
just a growl. You're doing so many
y-
complex things, and you're bringing a character to life, and it's based on
mm,
that, I think that's I'm really proud of what you achieved on
thank
that, because I
you,
think that's
thank you.
it takes a lot of passion, a lot of emotion in it, because you have
Mm,
to bring that emotion. You have to play character when you're singing as
exactly,
well. So it's like a
exactly.
musical, when you done on it, and I guess that's what we said. If you go listen to the record, you go look at the stories more into detail, because that basically gives you the understanding of this band. It gives you the understanding of the character. It gives you the understanding
That,
of where it's going. If I didn't do that, could have been, I would have had questions. Oh yeah, so how was your vocals? What did you do? It would have been
yeah,
a different approach, or it would be like, oh yeah, so well, how did you do the guitars in the mix? So it's kind
yeah,
of like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly.
it's kind of hard to get that understanding until you dive deep. You know,
Exactly, exactly. Then it opens. Then it's really opens. Then you understand why something happens in that moment. Because when you reading the lyrics, that you understand the story, then you understand why the accordions like are coming up. Like for instance,
yeah.
like what is the purpose on all these little things, and why is he singing like that? Well, read the lyrics and you'll see exactly why it's acting like that or singing like that. It's not just like a
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna wrap it up, man. But I really enjoyed having a chat with you.
thank
Get to
you.
explore inside the world of Agarwaen, the world that the universe you're creating, the music, the stories, the concept, all these little elements, and all that's been a very interesting chat. Oh, excuse me.
Thank you.
But anyone that I do recommend listening to this record. This is kind of like, for me personally, it's one of my hidden gems. It's something that you just don't unexpect it to hear from a record, and it's worth checking. It's out through Over the Borders. It's on Bandcamp. I think it'll be on your Bandcamp as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. It's going to be on Bandcamp. We'll play some of their songs in our official Spotify playlist. So some of the songs that's out there, I might put in some of my personal tracks as well, which is Clouding Business and The Hunt. I think that's where you get to go a bit more inside and Anton's character, Anthony's display of vocal performance in those songs, particularly in those tracks. It basically gets that character definition. But before we wrap it up, Anthony, I was about to call you Anton, but before we wrap it up,
Yeah,
before we
I,
wrap it
I
up,
call myself accidentally once in a while. Anton also try to avoid that. Hey, maybe the story is related. No, 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 it's not related.
mate, before we wrap it up, I've just one final question. Anton is probably one of the most complex characters I believe you probably created, or probably there's more. But but from my first interpretation, or my first being immersed to it, if you had to describe Anton in just one word or one feeling, what would it be and why?
Sadness. Yeah, sadness, and it's because of he is a good kid.
Yeah.
He is a good guy. He is good person. In the first beginning, even in the middle when he is doubting everything, and in the end, he kind of like has his kind of like he understand what's happening, and it just wasn't. This world just wasn't for him, and he understands. Okay, this is not for me. That's until to be continued. So, but in one word, sadness until the end.
Oh, that's probably a good way to sum it up, man. Thank you for your time. All the best with your show tonight, and we'll see you
Thank
all you
you.
guys in the next video.
All right. Cheers. Bye.